It is a journey through the Bible with Mukhwana Isaac. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Yesterday, we saw how Palestine conquered, how Palestine was conquered by Rome, and we saw a man called Herod the Tetrarch, the one who existed even during the time of Jesus Christ. And this is why the people, on seeing Jesus, had a lot of hopes and expected him to come and fight their enemy, fight their rulers, the people who were ruling them, Rome, by that time. And today we switch our attention to the awaited Messiah. The Jews, of course, did not know exactly when the Christ would be born. We do it, of course, and of course, this will help us to understand God's ways more if we are into what sort of a religious atmosphere Christ was born and from what spiritual group Christ came. The question as to what sort of religious atmosphere Christ was born into will actually be answered in this very sharing on the awaited Messiah, because sometimes when you read the gospel and you hear that Jesus was taken, the Joseph and the mother of Jesus went to Bethlehem and they gave birth, they were looking for the inn. Do you have something which sparkles your mind? The question of why did they have to go to Bethlehem looking for an inn? These are some of the things we are going to share, and you realize that the second question, of course, as to what spiritual group Christ came from, will also be answered in especially the next section, where we shall handle the Anawa, the Anawim, the poor of Yahweh. Those who said, whether we are rich or poor, we are of, we belong to God. And so these people had hopes, the hopes of the Jews. The Jews were under the power of Rome. It's something we saw in our previous sharing. Their desires to make themselves into a great nation had come to nothing. They had started losing hope. Most of the people had given up. Yet they had not forgotten the promise which God had made to Abraham 1800 years before, where we started from one of the first episodes. They still kept faith in his promise. He had been with them throughout their history. Although the fulfillment of the promise still seemed far off, they did not lose confidence in God, but eagerly awaited the day when he would send the Messiah and set up his kingdom on earth. And they had, of course, those ideas running in their minds. It is not easy to say just what sort of Messiah the Jews of Jesus' day were expecting. There were too many different ideas on the subject, on the subject history, but of course they could never have dreamed that it would do what he did. No, they didn't. that he himself would come into the world in the person of his son, and he himself be the king of the messianic hope. But he did, and all the hopes of the prophets were fulfilled in this way, than that actually only an all wise and all loving God could have thought of. And so God does things in a very different way. The people at that time, especially as we shall see, those who saw, witnessed the coming of the Messiah, those who were prepared, were lowly people. The shepherds were tendering their sheep. Is when they received the message that Gloria in the highest, the King is born. That brings us to the end of today's episode. I have been Mukhwana Isaac with the journey through the Bible. Tomorrow we shall look at the ideas about the Messiah. These ideas we shall look at them in two ways. The mistaken ideas, those who thought they were having a Messiah who did not have the features Christ had, and the right ideas of a faithful few, the Anawa, the Anawim. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Be blessed.